nicely done. Hoyland. Oh yes, he must score surely. They have. Jamie Hoyland has done the impossible. Oh, on the spot from Johnson. Gigg Lane. Chris Hussey's got space in defence. Hussey inside the box. Tries to square it back. An opportunity. It's there. Top zone. And Berry take the lead.
One leaves a crowded base with the very important goal there. He's got the right foot.
He shot. Oh, what a big goal.
And still the mighty Shakers.
Hello and welcome to the Mighty Shakers podcast, Season 3, Episode 10, proudly sponsored by AC Ventilation, BIMTech Engineering and Eye Level Sunglasses. It's a long one today, a long old episode. We're talking everything that's been going on this week. We're talking with Elliott Bennett. If you're just here for the Elliott Bennett interview, skip to around the 19-20 minute mark. That's when that conversation will kick off. And we are joined by Will, as ever. How are you, Will?
Great, thank you. A little bit sad, but here we are.
Yeah, lots to talk about. So yeah, let's kick off with the news this week. So it very much feels like the meme that is, what a week, eh? And it's like, Captain, it's Wednesday. Because it is Wednesday when we are recording. Obviously, this goes out on Thursday or Friday. And we've already had a week as the life of a Bury FC fan. Monday, obviously, we get the news that John Newby has stepped down from his position on the board due to work commitments and health reasons, which means he's no longer a candidate for the election. And votes for him, if people have already submitted, are deemed as lost. And then Tuesday, we get the shock news that manager Dave McNabb has relinquished, get my words out, his role as first team manager as part of the club restructure. And he's now head of football operations. And Tim Lees is going to be taking over as interim manager, but just for this weekend, I believe. Also on Tuesday, we have published the advert for a first team manager, which the candidate must have National League experience or proven success in the Northern Premier League. And the deadline for applications is Sunday at 12 o'clock. So if you're listening, first of all, why? Second of all, make sure you get your application in. And the interview is going to be held on the 8th, 9th and 10th, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So, Will, a lot of information there, but what have you made of it this week?
It's a bit weird, isn't it? It is. I just think there were a lot of rumours going around, wasn't there? With McNabb's future. The Whitton game was shocking. And then Saturday was poor again, wasn't it? 0-0. And I think because there was no reaction, I think that just made people ask a few questions, wasn't it? And we had a discussion, didn't we? We put it in our little group. We had a little poll, didn't we, of what we think's the best solution. And we both said that reassess at Christmas time, wasn't it? That was our thing. So a few more games, and then I would think it's, to be honest, the last thing I was expecting, especially if moving upstairs. I feel like club's in a bit like limbo. So I think a couple of things, like, did he make that decision to move upstairs? Was that like, I don't want to be manager anymore? Or was the club, like, in essence, like the board have told him to move on, but then in that sense, moving him upstairs? So I just think there's a few questions, isn't there, I think, surrounding the whole thing. But then my take from it is now that if a manager coming in is going to be working under the former manager with all his own backroom staff. So again, a couple of things which makes me think that they've already picked someone to replace him, which will obviously be discussed with McNabb and everybody else. And then if it hasn't been already picked, I think it would reduce the pool of managers applying for it, because I think I mentioned it at the time, there's not many people who'd want to come in and kind of have all the backroom staff picked, potentially, because we've got a lot of contracted players, haven't we? So potentially a lot of players on contracts. So are they going to be able to bring players in? So yeah, I think personally it's a bit of a mess, but I am willing to give it a try and see how we get on.
Yeah, as of now, we don't know if the management staff are staying on. We know that Tim Lee's going to be in charge, and I presume that all the other staff will be part of the club still. I know Sam Ashton tweeted before saying, "Is it safe to come out?" or something like that on the GIF that he put out on Twitter. So, as far as we're aware, they will be staying on. But like I say, it is interesting because like obviously when Dave came in, he had all his staff ready to come in with him. So I can imagine that a lot of staff these days will have the sort of the people they rely on, because non-league you sort of need that security because of how non-league is. Like you see him Tuesday, Thursday, you're on a match of the weekend, so you need people you trust. So again, with the short application window, like you said, it does feel like they have picked someone. Obviously, there's lots of names being thrown around at the moment, which we can go on to in a minute, because we've asked for people to submit their ideas for who it may be. But yeah, I was surprised that it's happened like this. Obviously, if people have listened to the last few episodes, they'll know that I've been a big fan of McNabb, and have backed him to turn it around. So, like Will says, it'd be interesting to know like what's been the catalyst of this decision to move him upstairs. Is it he just doesn't want to manage anymore? Like obviously with John stepping away as well, he's mentioned his work commitments with Liverpool, and obviously has some health reasons as well. But with Dave, obviously, I believe he's got quite a good job away from football. So is it a combination of that? Who knows? I'm sure we'll find out eventually. It might be next week. It might be next year. It might be in 6 months. But I'm sure at some point, when Dave's comfortable enough, he will sort of go through them reasons, and we'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, just get behind Tim Lees at the weekend. Probably say 300, maybe 400 tickets at a push sold, I'd say. I don't think we'll take the 500 down to Shifnal, because I believe it is the longest away game of the season.
Not far off 2 hours, is it, I think?
Yeah, it's more towards Wolves way, isn't it? So yeah, it's going to be an interesting time. Like it's good to see Dave still stick around. I do think like you need someone who's that knowledgeable of this level as well to bring his ideas. Obviously, I know fans have had different opinions, which is completely fine. Whether that may be that he needs to move on, or people wanting to back him, I was firmly in the backing him camp. As I mentioned, like he got, I think he got out of this division at the first hurdle with Warrington Rylands, and ultimately, yes, it can be seen as a bad start to the season because we're fourth with the money that we have and the crowd that we have and the facilities that we have. But then there we are fourth as well. So again, there's both sides of the coin. And yeah, I actually agreed with Ben Brumby the other day on Twitter, which I can't remember what he put. I was trying to find it then when you were speaking, but he might have deleted his tweets, because ultimately, like, he got us out the Northwest Counties, which we had failed to do. Obviously, Andy Welsh got sacked. He then came in. Don't have to talk about the mess that was the playoffs and that season. But 24-25 was a great season, and it was spoke about for a long time. The FA Cup run and the way we won every game after West Didsbury and went on to win the league title in front of 8,000 people. Like, he ultimately was in charge of that rise of us in that season, and he was his ideas, and nothing really has changed from his philosophy and the way he was saw and set up. So I'm sure that given the time, he would have been able to solve the solution. But that is the situation we're facing at the moment. He is now head of football operations rather than manager. And we did ask fans to tweet in their opinions on who will be the new manager. Before we go into that, Will, who would be your choice if you were in charge of making decisions at Gigg Lane?
I just want to say one thing, like McNabb moving upstairs before I move on, is that I think if we were to pick somebody at this level to do that job, then I think if we were looking at McNabb's CV, we'd probably jump at the chance, wouldn't we? If someone was doing that job. So I think we're looking at it having McNabb already in the club, but I think in essence, if that's what the clubs decide to do, we're in a really lucky position where we can, as you said, fall on his expertise, use him for whatever he sees fit, because obviously he must have had a master plan, mustn't he? He must have things in the pipeline of what he wants to do. I think the club said it was cost neutral as well, which I assume means his wages are covered somehow. Don't know. But obviously that's a positive as well. So manager, ideally, I think we've said I want somebody same style of football. Because when it works, it's brilliant to watch. I know a few people will disagree because obviously it's opinion, isn't it, of how football should be played. But at times at Gigg Lane, I've seen some of the best football I've seen at Gigg Lane in these last couple of seasons. But I think for me personally, I would try to annoy. I think I mentioned this straight away. I'd try and wind a few opposition fans up. Bloke from Ramy would always be good. And like, even if I don't think they'd come, and this is me being really silly, would be just to piss low Brett fans off. Go for their gaffer.
Gary Moore. Is it Gary
yeah,
Moore?
yeah. But at the end of the day, like, I'm one of those. I will support the manager. I will support whatever the club decide. I think the club is allowed to be questioned about this decision because it is a strange one. I don't think I've heard of it before in football. I can't remember at any time really that this has happened. And especially looking at Twitter on Tuesday when the news broke and the restructure, I think opposition fans feel the same. But yeah, it is what it is. I think, like I said, outside looking in, McNabb's a good choice to do that job, or great choice to do that job, not a good choice. Disappointed it ended a little bit too soon. But whoever comes in, you know, they've got to get results, haven't they? That is the pressure now, that if someone comes in and they don't turn it around and start getting those wins, are the fans going to give them time to do it? So it is a big job, high pressure, and like you mentioned, McNabb potentially with his work, and that is that part of it. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, so like we have asked for suggestions. So I've seen a couple on Facebook as well of saying like Nicky Adams. I don't think that he's right fit at this moment in time. Like, great lad, loves Bury, but he's obviously got a full-time job at Wigan now. And I don't think he would want to have the manager's job at this moment in time anyway, because he's just getting his start in sort of the coaching in the coach world. I know he's like Oldham 18's gaffer, but he's now obviously first team coach at Wigan. Speaking of Wigan, someone else suggested Ryan Lowe. I think that is completely out of the realms of possibility. Not even Football Manager would be able to pull that move off. Someone mentioned Danny Wilson on our replies because he was at the Gigg game on Saturday, but then also agreed with you, Will, about the Lower Brett management team. Phil Parkinson is another name mentioned, not the Phil Parkinson that used to play for Bury, but the Phil Parkinson that managed Altrincham. I don't know much about him, to be honest, but looking at social media, it said that he did well at Runcorn, and I think he got him out of one of the leagues, and then obviously he did well at Alty as well.
Yeah, one of my mates used to work for him at Altrincham. Said he's a good bloke, but I messaged him today, trying to tap him up. He was saying he would be very surprised if it was him, just because of the step down, and also he full-time manager, which obviously we are not.
Yeah, I think it would be a nice one to have, but again, like he's come from like Altrincham National League, right? So so that's step one. So I don't think he dropped that far down. Another one mentioned is the Widnes manager before they sadly went under. Is it Michael Ellison?
Yeah.
As a potential candidate. Obviously won the league last year. Louis Ishwell's played for him already as well. Did really well, apparently, on not a lot of budget. And because I think someone was saying their stadium fees were quite high because they were playing at also the rugby stadium in Widnes. So it'd be interesting to see like if it was him, how he'd do with a bit more money. Because if you win the league on like a shoestring budget, you must be a pretty good manager.
Yeah, Spooner's dad.
Yeah, Nick Spooner. Obviously, if you've watched the Football Manager video on YouTube, Kieran Glynn had a bit of a joke with him about it, so saying that his dad used to play him up front and whatnot. But yeah, Nick Spooner could be a candidate. Obviously, formerly of Hyde United, he left in September. So they're the step above us. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting few days. Hopefully, by this time next week, they'll have made the decision, and hopefully by this time in 2 podcast time, so the week of the Mosler game, we will have a new manager in charge. And if the new manager is in charge by Mosler on the 13th, I hope he has got some earmuffs, because Will, Dubsy and a few others, the bunch of clowns, are in the 1885 that game. So they will no doubt be chewing their ear off, no matter what happens. So.
Yeah. So I'll have a few Guinness to settle my nerves, and then we'll have a chat. All good. But the interviews are the 8th, 9th and 10th are there, I think I read.
Yeah.
So it sounds very likely that one training session on that Thursday, if they get the job, to come and see the players, and it sounds very likely that it could be that Saturday, couldn't it? That they're in, and I think the club would potentially rather have their first game at home than away at Newcastle Town the week after.
Yeah,
as well.
I imagine though as well, like depending on timelines and how long it'll take to turn around, but like even if they're not in charge for that game, but like they're introduced, you know, like similar to how it feels like I'm saying Lord Voldemort, but you know when Stuart Day was introduced back in 2012, 2013, whichever year it was, and he was sort of brought up before the game, so that could sort of be one that we see. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting few days.
Yeah, and I think going off listening, like Tim Lees will be leading training money and coaching side of things. So I think whoever comes in, that session is going to be sorted on the Thursday. Yeah, maybe a few tweaks here and there if they potentially want to play a different brand of football or what have you. Because that's the other thing, they might come in and say, right, we're changing formation, we're going direct. I want 2 big lads up top, blah blah blah. So you don't know, do you? But I would be very surprised if we pick someone who would change everything, like from the style of football we play to the tactics. I imagine McNabb has his philosophy and things like that, and obviously he's in charge of the direction of footballing matters now. So I would assume the interview process, it would be somebody who aligned with his philosophy. So I wouldn't see massive changes, but obviously they might have players that they want to bring in as well. So yeah, going to be an interesting few days.
Yeah, and so to quote the statement, it's been described as a pivotal role because there's going to be a link between the football board and football operations, which will help shape the club's sporting strategy to drive success for the men's first team. And the restructure is key element of ongoing strategy of continuous improvement to plan for the short, medium and long-term goals of sustaining football highest possible level. And as a senior leader in business, Dave's transferable skill set and track record of generating revenue brings added expertise to the club off the pitch. So it seems like a bit of a mixed role where he, like you say, he does have his philosophy and he's able to help on the football side, but then also on the business side, being able to bring in like sponsorships or potential other revenues of income.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I'm going to give McNabb a shout out and say, if you would like to do an interview, Dave, we would very much like to speak to you, because I think fans have a lot of questions, don't we, about the role that he's in. So if you are listening, Dave, we would very much like to speak to you about your plans and obviously the move up. We know how much you love us.
Love's a loose term.
Yeah, we know how much you put
he puts up with us. Not them knobheads again. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but obviously, first of all, it is Shifnal. And yeah, we've got a big game, but we have an interview up next, the main part of the podcast. So let's hear it from Elliott Bennett.
BIMTech is a digital engineering company specialising in fully coordinated, clash-detected MEP models for the construction sector. Bringing together expertise from engineering, computing and media, we're expanding with offices in Manchester, Glasgow and Hungary. It's our commitment to detail, innovation and world-class service that has led us to work with some of the biggest players in the UK, including Skanska, NG Baileys, SES, Briggs & Forrester and Lang O'Rourke.
So enough of the current talk, and it's time to bring on our special guest. Obviously played for Bury in the 2007-08 season and 2008-09 is Mr. Elliott Bennett. Elliott, how are you tonight?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. One of the first questions we always ask guests when they come on, we will speak about your move to Bury in the few minutes, but what is your first ever memory of Bury FC?
Lower Gigg, probably not the best one, but it's one that really got me to understand what it is to, to play football in a men's environment, professional environment. Obviously, grew up luckily enough with a silver spoon in my mouth at Wolves. You don't realise that at the time, as if you'd been a young lad. That's all I knew, and then coming to Bury and getting changed at the stadium, grand old stadium that it is. And then walking down in my boots to Lower Gig, with people walking their dogs and houses overlooking the training ground was it was eye opening. And then washing my own boots, asking, luckily because I was on loan, the kit lady at the time, lovely lady, used to do my kit so I didn't have to take it home with me. But just proper football, like honestly loved it. And but a big eye opener as well.
But let's rewind the clock to start your career, and we're going all the way back to school level here because Will has got a very funny story for you from one of his friends, from when you were playing for Thomas Telford. I believe it was.
Thomas
Go on, Will,
Telford,
take it away.
Yeah, so I went to uni with two lads that were Shrewsbury boys. And when we signed you, I was like, oh, we signed this. Well, we got you on loan. Signed this lad called Elliott Bennett. And they were like, oh, played against him in cup final at school. So they were playing for Mwelfra Brace, I think it was called. So they played against you in like year 10 final. And,
where was that
at? Gay Meadow.
Gay Meadow, I remember it. I'll tell you what boots I had. I had blue Predators, old school blue Predators.
So I asked them about it, and they said, yeah, he beat us on his own that game. It was a county cup final. So
county cup final. I remember it.
So funny one, you scored direct from a corner, so you got the ball, ran the full length of the pitch, and apparently scored. But it was my mate who took the corner, and it went like straight to you. And then it was the other lad that I was living with who was trying to catch you, and he said, it was the worst run of my life. It was the 100-meter champion.
That is. Yeah, I remember. Do you know what? Obviously, school is a long time ago now for me, but certain games and moments you just remember. And that game, I remember it because it was one of the first time. I think it was the first time I ever played at the Gay Meadow. So to play it like around here anyway, that's like what the biggest club in Shropshire really. So to play at that stadium, in a cup final was massive. And I can remember we won the game, and I think I'm sure I got them boots literally a couple of weeks before that game, and I was buzzing to wear them on a proper proper pitch. So I do remember it.
Yeah, well, when I mentioned your name, they had like a bit of PTSD. I think they were flashback.
If you still speak to me, you have to apologise. It wasn't meant to do anything to anyone. I just wanted to win.
No, fair blues. We've ribbed them for it for ages. So fine.
Just on the tough stuff, again, Wikipedia is not the most reliable source, but it also said you were an athletics champion. So was there ever a decision for you between athletics and football?
No, honestly, no. Athletics was just a thing that we did in the summer. Me and my brother, obviously, I know you've had Kyle on. We're just so competitive. We love sport. Obviously, football's our main thing. But, when football, obviously, it's not like now where there's always football on some form, across the summer. When we were growing up, there was nothing on in the summer other than, we had Wimbledon, you'd have the World Athletics Championships, cricket. So we'd just, whenever they were on the telly, obviously we only had channels 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 came in a bit later. We'd just watch something and be like, let's go and play it. So, we'd go out and do athletics on our road. We used to say 400 meters was round the block, 100 meters up and down. We'd jump up. We'd get like stick. We had like cricket. The cricket stumps.
Mm.
We'd go in on a grass and we'd stick them in the ground and we say you have to hurdle them. They're the hurdles. Just kid stuff, really. But that was where it came from. And then my mom was like, "Oh, why don't you, go and have a try some athletics? Then we can go in the summer." I think my mom's trying to get rid of us, to be honest, in the 6 weeks holiday. So yeah, we went down and just really enjoyed it. Just being around other people that love sport, tried our hand at it, and I was fortunate enough to get picked for Shropshire. So I ran for Shropshire, and that was a humbling experience. I was one of the fastest around my area for my age. But then when I went to the national schools, oh, dearie me. That's when I realised there's no decisions to be made. I am not going to be an Olympian. And thankfully I chose football.
And you mentioned playing with your brother as well at a young age. What was that like growing up with Kyle?
Yeah, amazing. We still laugh about it now. I used to hate losing to him. He hated losing to me. Obviously, your younger brother, you never want to get beat by him. I can remember one time we were playing. We never had a tennis net. We used to love Wimbledon. My mum got us rackets and we had a ball. But we had these like cobblestones in the road. I don't know what they were there for. They didn't do anything, but they were there. So we used that as our net, and we used to like judge whether it was that would have hit the net or gone over and all that. And I remember he beat me one time, and such as a big brother does, I chucked my tennis racket directly at him, kneecapped him. He cried, and that was the end of that game.
And obviously, you both came through the Wolves Academy, but obviously you were a few years up, and you got your first games in what is now the Carabao Cup. How was that experience at a young age? Because I think you were 18 for the games against Bradford and Morecambe.
Yeah, so yeah, mate. Look, a dream come true. I'd grown up, obviously, come through at Wolves from 9. Absolutely loved my time in the academy, but I was never the best player. Probably middle of the road, if I'm being completely honest. But I tried hard. I loved it. I worked hard. I listened. I wasn't one of the ones that played up in the sessions. Just tried my best every time I was playing. And yeah, like Kyle was a million times better than me the whole way through. And there was always a joke that I only got signed because they wanted to keep Kyle there. And I'll be honest, maybe part of it was true when I was younger, 12, 13. But I think Kyle was so special that they'd have done anything to keep him there, really. And if it meant keeping his idiot brother there, then so be it. So I was the kind of beneficiary of that, really. And then obviously I earned my scholarship, the way you have to do it, and worked hard, kept learning, kept getting better. And yeah, to make my debut for Wolves, in whether it was the Carabao Cup or not, I think is a massive achievement for me and my family, and one that I still cherish dearly today.
From there, you went to Crewe on loan,
Yep.
and then first senior goal against Port Vale, and you also played with Sir Ryan Lowe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
legend.
How was it going to Crewe?
Yeah, it was good. It was really good. It was, my first real taste. I know I played in the Carabao Cup for Wolves, but when you're a young lad and you've come through the system, I think unless you're truly special, you're never really seen as a first team player. You're always almost seen as, a young lad, always playing in the Carabao Cup, or he's making up the numbers in the FA Cup or whatever it might be. So to go there and kind of as a young lad and be treated, and have to step into a dressing room with men, like you said, like Ryan Lowe was there, Nicky Maynard, there was some real senior players in the team that had played a lot of football. A bit of a baptism of fire, to be honest, like going into a dressing room and not being seen as a young lad, like you're one of us now, and getting ribbed, and the football banter and things like that was, I wouldn't say difficult because I enjoyed it, but it was certainly different to being uh, in the under 18s and being not a main player, but someone who'd played in the first team, being in the under 18s. It's very easy to be just comfortable, and then I kind of thought it was time to step out my comfort zone, and I just wanted to play professional football, and that was always been a dream of mine, no matter what level it was at, League Two, League One, Championship, Premier League. I just wanted to play league football, and Crewe gave me that opportunity.
A bit of shock to the system going from under 18s to that like professional, like men's first team.
Not as much as it would be now. Just because I think, when I was coming through, they had the reserves, like the old school reserves, not this under 21-3 nonsense that people are doing. Reserves where under 18s are playing it, the ones that people see are doing well, and then the lads that don't play on a Saturday in the first team, unfortunately, you're playing on Tuesday night. Keep your fitness up. Show me why you should be playing in the first team. So, I kind of had a taste of playing against other men and played with men. I had some the Wolves manager now, Rob Edwards. I played with him in the reserves. A man called Gary Breen, centre half, like no nonsense Irish guy. Like, so I kind of got that kind of experience from them. But look, when you go in to play at a club where 3 points is what everything's about, fans are paying to come and watch their team. We had people come and watch the Wolves reserve games, but they're not really bothered about the reserves results. They're bothered about Wolves. So to go out on loan to Crewe, where the people that are coming to them games, their weekends and some people's weeks are made and destroyed by the result on a Saturday, and that's what I wanted to experience. Used to go in to watch football, and I used to go with my dad and my mom, my brother, and you sit in the stand and get a pie and watch the warm ups and just that smell of football. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean, because you're proper football fans. You know what I mean? So that real sense of winning and losing, that meant a lot to me.
And then obviously the world's greatest club come calling in early
Yeah.
2008. When did you first hear of the interest, and was there any other potential loan destinations around that time?
To be honest, no. Just got a call. Wolves pulled me in and said, "Look, Barry, want you to go on loan. Think it's a really good step for you. Obviously, you've been to League One and Crewe. I wasn't playing all the time, but I played a few games. But the manager there really wants you to go there and test yourself in League Two." And I was like, "Yeah, let's go." So yeah, it was Chris Brass at the time and brought me in, and absolutely loved it from the minute I walked through the door. Just great group of lads, proper. Obviously, I'd been around, championship football where not is it necessarily playing, but I mean, just those type of characters, players. Going there was just like going to play with your mates. I didn't really know them, but they were just like lads from where I'm from that you'd meet down the pub, but they're just really good at football. Do you know what I mean? That was the kind of vibe that I had, and I really, really enjoyed it.
Obviously, the Bury career didn't get off to the greatest of starts with the MK Dons defeat. How was it again? Like, because I know you mentioned we talked about the Crewe and the short system, but for Bury fans, they're very vocal, and I can't really remember that game, but I imagine there was like a lot of boos and stuff like that, and obviously there's some big characters in that change room like Ben Futcher and Colin Woodthorpe, Haslam as well. I can imagine it was a bit of an odd debut. But then obviously it went on to better things, because I think you started every game after that.
Yeah, I don't think I missed a game, to be honest, in I think 18 months I was there, so season and a half. Yeah, look, like it's never good to get off to that sort of start, but I think that's sometimes what you need. You need some bad moments in your career, especially early on, to understand how you react to disappointment, not playing well, a bad result, and all those things kind of really happened for me in my whole time at Bury. To be honest, we had some, incredible moments, but then I had probably one of the biggest disappointments that I'd had in my career, really, in not quite getting to Wembley when we'd done so well away at Shrewsbury, and then losing on penalties. And as a young lad, you're desperate to play at Wembley, and that kind of getting ripped away from you on a penalty shootout. So, but they're all things that I kind of took with me and really helped shaped the person I became and the kind of career I had.
So yeah, sorry, mate. So when you said, obviously you mentioned lower Gigg, and then
Yeah.
we mentioned getting pumped off MK Dons. Were there a point where you think, what on earth am I doing here?
Never. And I think that's great credit to the dressing room, to be honest. Like you said, the characters that are in that dressing room, Haslam, Ben Futcher, Colin Woodthorpe, Andy Bishop. Like Bish was someone I'd only ever see on, Sky Sports, pops up Jeff Stelling. Oh, there's another goal at Gigg Lane. Andy Bishop. Like, he just seemed to score all the time. Nicky Adams, not too much older than me, but, had played a lot of football. I just kind of gelled with all these players and personalities, and I started to understand what it means to be a footballer, about winning games. And, I can't remember what it was at the time. Let's just say you had £100 win bonus or something. That the players that I was playing with was massive, because that was, the money that they were building up for maybe the summer holiday with their family and their kids. And you start to really understand that football is about winning and losing. And where when you play in the reserves, if you get beat, as long as you do all right, it's kind of like, well, did all right today. Like, we got beat 5-0, but I played well. And people pat you on the back. Oh, you did well today. I know you got beat 5-0, but whereas when you go into a first team environment, you get beat 5-0. Who cares how well you played? No one cares. The dressing room don't care. They're all going home sad, disappointed. The fans are going home sad, disappointed. No one's going, oh, we got beat today, but I'll tell you what, that kid that we got on loan from Wolves, he did well today. It's not happening. Do you know what I mean? So it was kind of like, it was really, really good for me. And it's something that, I've tried to say to younger players that, as I got older, go out on loan, stop playing in the 21s and 23s and messing around playing silly tippy-tappy football games where no one cares. Go and get experience. And Berry really helped me to do that. And, I think, I can't remember what it was, but by the time I was 20 and left Berry, I think I'd played 60, 70 football league games, which you find many 20-year-olds that are not superstars, which I was never, that have done that. They haven't, because they sit in their comfort zone, earning the money they're earning, carrying their wash bags in, and everyone, the chef does a nice dinner. I remember being at Lower Gig, we'd walk back up thinking, what's for lunch today? The butty van, the butty shop around the corner from Lower Gig. You know which one I'm on about?
Yeah.
I used to be buzzing when it was butty shop day. The flapjacks in there were banging.
Yes.
The best flapjacks I've ever had.
Yeah, I was in college across the way, so it was always a lovely treat.
Yeah, the butty shop. Honestly, that'd be our, professional footballers. That's your lunch, or we'd have beans on toast, or jacket potato and beans and cheese, and it was honestly incredible.
Brilliant, like that.
So I'm trying to work out. So obviously, at the end of that season, we played Rochdale, and I was only 14, so I think I remember it. But was it your run that got their players sent off in the first half? It was the last home game of the season.
Oh,
I should have this memory of you, because obviously you were so lightning fast, and like you've knocked the ball through their defence, and he's just taken you out.
maybe. All I can remember for the Rochdale games, honestly, was the atmosphere, because it was unreal. And then I scored a goal with someone, the goalie kicked. I think it might have been the next year that I did that, though. The keeper's gone to kick it out. I've chased him down. It's hit me and gone in. Best goal, one of the best goals I've ever scored. That it's so easy, just running to hit me. But honestly, my memory, maybe I tell you what, if that's your memory, I'm not gonna take it away from you, and I'll take it.
Because I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure it was. Because obviously, I think they were chasing playoffs as well. No, sorry, I think that was the year after. I can't remember what had happened, but I just remember looking back at the stats now as well. It says Futcher got sent off as well. I don't really remember that.
That wouldn't surprise me with Futch, to be honest. Anything's possible.
The last game of the season, though, like you missed, which was the Accrington one, but obviously that is now famous, not famous, but it's obviously spoken about because of what happened on the Accrington side. Do you remember sort of anything around that game, or were you like away from the squad at that point?
Yeah, so I was away from the squad and I was back, but I did hear that something may be going on.
Yeah.
I didn't partake. Obviously, I wasn't playing for Bury at the time, but I didn't. I didn't get involved. I half wish I had now, because I could have made myself an easy few quid. But yeah, no, like, look, I think it was something that people spoke about. And, when you're a young lad, you're not really too clued up on what's going on and what people are up to. And obviously, it's not something that you know anyone really shouts about and you should be proud
Yeah.
of. But you know, that was something that maybe Accrington were a bit they're famous for, that they did it. You know, a couple of times at the last game of the season when there was nothing on it. Look, I heard about it, but I didn't partake in any
Oh yeah. I wouldn't say I just
activities.
because like being so young, I remember like we were absolutely battering them, and I was like, oh, this could be like 6-0, and then we came out and did nothing, and I was like, and then obviously years later it all came out.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Obviously, back in the season, Alan Neil comes out to the press, says that he wants you to stay, and he said he had like a good relationship with, I believe it was Mick McCarthy at the time,
Yeah,
the Wolves manager. So how was that from going back to Wolves to then re-signing for the full season this time?
I couldn't wait, to be honest. It was as soon as I got back. Obviously the end of the season, went back to pre-season, and obviously I had good conversations with Alan Neil and Chris Wilder, and I absolutely loved my time at Bury. I could see what they were trying to build, and I wanted to be a part of it. I wanted to go back and play week in, week out. I didn't want to just sit in the reserves or go on loan. And sometimes when you go on loan, you don't know how it's going to work out. I knew going back to Bury how it was going to be. I knew that the staff, the people behind the scenes, Jill Neville, people like that, just everyone that was involved in the club. There was a couple of guys, Steve and what's the other guy's name? Used to be like the security on the players' entrance door. Like, just loved them. Just like like when you just have a really good feeling from people. Just feel like northern people are just lovely anyway. People from Bury, really nice. Everyone was so like good to me, and I just wanted to be a part of something for the football club and for myself. Obviously, I just wanted to play games. So yeah, it was a no-brainer for me and something that I couldn't wait to get back doing.
So
You met-
interestingly, before we move on to the next part, but interestingly, you mentioned the match day staff, so I'm going to bring it up later. But my dad was part of the security team at the time, and he always spoke highly of you because I think he spoke to your mum quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
And then he was absolutely buzzing when you came back later on for the FC United game, which we'll come on to in the end.
Yeah.
And like, because obviously me being young, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I know Elliott." I'm like, "Oh yeah, good one." And then like I remember he came off the coach. He was like, "Oh Phil, how's it going?" And I'm there like, "How's it going, with my dad?" and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting. You remember like stuff like that, and it's pretty cool.
That's that's what I think like clubs like Bury, that's what it's built on. Obviously I spent a lot of time at Blackburn. Blackburn's the same. Blackburn's built on not the people that you see every day, that the fans see, players and managers, because they come and go, but it's the people that are like the fabric of the club, the ones that are behind the scenes, the kit lady, the chef, the secretary, all the security staff, the ones that are like you see that are doing everything they can to give you the best opportunity to be the best version of you, but they don't take no applause for it. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't take anything to show respect, be nice, be kind, treat people how you're treated. And yeah, I feel like that's what Bury was built on. And for me, like one of the reasons why I came back, because I'm just a council estate kid who, likes people, and if you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. And I had that feeling at Bury, and it just felt like I was somewhere that I needed to be to play football and progress my career.
So at the end of that season, obviously we have the Shrewsbury match and in the playoffs. What are your memories of the first leg and then the second leg? Because the first leg, the away end, was bouncing, to say the least.
Yeah, first leg, I thought we'd done enough. I thought getting back to Gigg Lane in the position we're in, we're going to Wembley. Genuinely, as a 19-year-old, maybe 20 I was at the time, young lad, you're thinking, oh, we're going to go to Wembley. Look what we've just done away from home. We're brilliant. We're getting there. And then yeah, just the second game. In fact, the second game we should have won that as well. Obviously, missed chances, things happen in games of football, and then you go to penalties, and you're like, oh, there's no crueler way to miss out on Wembley for a player, a group of supporters, a football club that that would have been what a memorable day for everyone. Let alone the players, but for everyone in Bury. Bury, I'm sure there would have been 25,000 at Wembley. all Bury people going down there to have a good time, to cheer their team on, and for me it would have been an incredible experience as well. But it just wasn't to be, and at the end of it, it was heartbreaking. And for me, I think I was really sad at the end of that, because I think that I knew that was probably the time when I maybe wouldn't be coming back to play for Bury again, which was obviously a kind of a double-edged kind of disappointment, really, that not getting to Wembley, and I'm not going to be probably playing back at Bury again.
Obviously, with the Jevons penalty is still a sore subject, but in the penalty shootout, so you obviously back then it wasn't as everyone didn't have cameras on the phones and whatnot, so I can't find any highlights of the first leg, but the second leg, Shrewsbury have magnificently uploaded the full broadcast. How nice of them!
Yeah.
But your penalty was very confident for a 19-year-old, because Luke Daniels kicks the ball away from you, and then you're like, "What's this guy doing?" And then you do the run up where you walk away and then sprint back, and then you give it the big shush to the Shrewsbury fans.
Yeah, I've been reminded of that since I've been back at Shrewsbury, to be fair. So, yeah, maybe not so good. But yeah, look, I think when you're young like that, you're not fearless, it's the wrong word, but you want to take, you want to be involved in those moments. I wanted to be someone that was a part of something successful. I wanted to be someone who scored a penalty that, helped get a club to Wembley. So I didn't really feel the pressure of it, to be honest. I think had I have been in that same situation at 28, 29, I'm not sure how, I'd have been giving it all, what's he doing? And shush. I might have shushed and thought, oh my God, I've just been to the toilet as I've took that penalty. But, I think like you gain that element of understanding what the disappointment is. Whereas I never had that before. So I just stepped up, took a penalty like I would have done in training, in games, in whatever other situations, kind of forgot about everything else and the magnitude of what it meant, and just kind of done it. So yeah, like obviously it was, you say confident. I just think it was part of what I was there to do, was go and try and deliver an outcome for the football club, which unfortunately we couldn't do.
I know you mentioned like in Northern people then, but you couldn't actually, with your next move, go much more south, could you? To Brighton. What was that like? So I imagine you would have had to fully move as well. You couldn't have done that commute.
Yeah, so obviously at Bury I was commuting, staying up on before games. Me and the goalie coach were both from, he's from Bridgnorth and I was from Telford, Neil Cutler. So we used to share the drive, and when it was a game, Tuesday night game, he'd always drive me, and we've had a good relationship. Really, nice man, and still speak to him today. And yeah, Brighton one came really out of the blue. I've made no secret of that. I didn't even know where it was, to be honest. I didn't want to go. Kind of, my hand got forced a little bit, really, because Wolves got promoted to the Premier League. Obviously, we just missed out on getting to Wembley and having that amazing day that it would have been. And Brighton were in League One, and I needed to kind of go and test myself at the next level. I would have loved to have come back to Bury if the stars would have aligned that year and we'd have gone to Wembley and got promoted. I'm sure I would have ended up at Bury and not gone anywhere, not gone to Brighton, because that would have been the next step in my career. And I'm sure Wolves probably would have loaned me there, but as it was, Brighton bid for me. Wolves accepted, and I kind of got told that's where I'm going. So, look, individually, right now, looking back, best decision I ever made was to go there and become my own man, not a kid on loan from Wolves or the kid from here. I got signed there. I became a player that was deserving to be there in my own right. Single best decision I made in my football career, for sure. But at the time, didn't feel that way.
So obviously you've got the move to Brighton, but you did come back to Gigg Lane quite soon after. I think the year after 2010 it was.
Yeah.
But our current goalkeeper coach has sent in the question for you, who is Sam Ashton. Does that name ring a bell to you? Yeah, no one cares about him because he's a Bolton fan. No, he's our current goalkeeping coach. He was the FC United goalkeeper. And
I was about to say that, because do you know why? Because that game is still on YouTube. Was it Eon that sponsored the FA Cup back then? I
Yeah,
want
I
to say
think
it was
so.
Eon. And my dad, my little lad's always asking me about, oh, have you ever scored? Where have you scored and what have you done? And I sometimes show him, have a little look. And that game come up, and because I'm sure, did they get a penalty? They got. I'm sure it was. Was it 4-1?
No, so at the Withdean, it was 1-1.
Oh, don't
but
remind me, because I missed the penalty.
yes, so he has sent that YouTube video in,
With me missing a
which
pen.
and
Yeah.
he says, ask him to talk you through this. But I said he was off his line; it should have been retaken.
No, I'll be honest, right? That day, obviously 1-1. I'm sure it was last minute, Last
It
couple of
was.
minutes of the game. See, can't forget that. Stepped up for, right, goal. We're through to the next round. He's pulled off a worldie. Maybe it was a bad pen. Well, let's call it a worldie just for the sake of this, because it make him feel good. And I'm like, oh my. And then obviously in the dressing room, you're getting like, people, don't worry. And then you're getting, and then after a couple of days, the don't worries turn into, oh, now we've got to go up to Bury on a Tuesday night and it's freezing cold, blah, de, blah. And I said, right, don't worry, like, lads, I'll make up for it. And then obviously came up to Gigg Lane, somewhere that I was familiar with, played on an ice rink, what it felt like. It was so slippy that day.
Freezing that night.
Freezing. And managed to get over the line, and I've got man of the match in that game, and I've still got the big bottle of Eon champagne in my house. So yeah, tell Sam to stick that in his pipe and smoke it.
I gladly will do.
He's
going to
be
bite at
living
that. He will bite that.
He's going to be living off the fact you said it was a worldie save. He'll never shut up now about that.
I don't mind, but ask him about the 4 times he had to bend down in his net and pick the ball out at Gigg Lane.
Yeah, because obviously you scored as well, and I remember there was quite a few Bury fans, so it must have felt quite nice for you to be back at Gigg Lane.
Yeah, it was really good. Like, obviously, first time I'd been back. Completely obviously different, because it was not Bury, it was FC United, but still something I remembered. The away dressing rooms, obviously not one I was used to when I was at Bury, but still, like, I remember used to going down there, and that's where the young lads used to get changed when I was there. Ricky and On and people like that. So I used to go down there and have a laugh with them, because obviously they were a lot closer to my age than a lot of the first team boys, to be honest. So I remember going into there, and yeah, a great day. Obviously great to win the game, but great to go back to Bury, and just thankful we got through, and I managed to half make up for dragging so many Brighton fans 300 odd miles up the road.
We were having a look at your stats before, and I noticed that you went from, in your last season at Brighton, you played 46 games in League One, and then you went straight from there into Norwich in the Premier League and played 33 games in the Prem. What was the step up like from League One to the Premier League?
Daunting, scary, imposter syndrome, everything you can ever think of. You got to bear in mind that I'd gone from being on loan at Bury, went down to Brighton. I had 2 years there, played at the Withdean for the 2 years because they were moving into the Amex the year after. Obviously, got an amazing manager in Gus Poyet that did wonders with everyone, got us promoted. I was kind of buzzing with that, really. I was signing a new contract with Brighton to go into the Championship, a level I'd never played at. And then, to get the call kind of really to say, like, we've accepted a bid from Norwich, you go into the Premier League. I'm like, yeah, outrageous, really. Like, stuff dreams are made of. Look, I look back at it now, and I'm so proud of the fact that I got the opportunity to play one professional football game, no matter what level, just in the leagues. So like blessed and honoured and truly grateful. But then, to say that I got the opportunity to play in the Premier League at the grounds that, that we all watch on Match of the Day, that I grew up watching on Match of the Day, is, I still sit here and think, like, why me? How did I get chosen for that? For that honour, really. And yeah, incredible experience, and something that will live with me forever, and I'll dine out on it with my kids until the day I die.
I imagine you're part of a very small group of players who've gone from League One to the Premier League and played so much. I can't think of many that have done that.
Yeah, I think that year there was another lad that was at Stockport, Anthony Pilkington. So he went from Stockport and then he moved to Huddersfield in League One as well. And we both got signed that same summer to Norwich. I think we played probably similar amount of games, to be honest, that first season. I'm not too sure, but we were both wingers. So I think we often played either wing together. So yeah, but like it doesn't really, you don't often hear of it now, and especially going straight from that league and then going into the kind of the big league and playing. You know, normally have like a year or two where you're just in and around it. But yeah, look, Paul Lambert showed great faith in me, and you know, I'll be forever grateful for him to give me that opportunity.
For a lot of football fans in general, like to growing up and dreaming of playing the Premier League is one thing, but to score in the Premier League is another. For general like people, like how do you describe that feeling of scoring your first goal in the Premier League?
Everything that you can ever imagine it to be, times a million. It's not like there's not a word to describe it other than I can't describe it. If you could bottle that feeling and sell it to people, it would be the most sought after thing in the world. More than coffee, more than any other substance that people might enjoy or not enjoy. Alcohol, anything. It is the greatest feeling I've ever felt, aside from having my children. Um, yeah, do you know, like you score? I scored obviously goals for Brighton. Scored not enough for Bury, but I scored a couple. If I'd have scored more, we would have got promoted automatically. But sorry about that, guys. But yeah, then to score in a game at White Hart Lane, win the game, my first Premier League goal, playing against legends of the game, you know, Luka Modric, Gareth Bale, you know, all these names, Kyle Walker. You think I've just won a game against these people, and I scored. And it was one of the great moments for me was afterwards. My dad, I used to always speak to him, and he always critiqued me. Never, you know, if he said I did okay, that means I did well. Uh, if I was bad, he told me I was bad, by the way. But you know, that day he just said, "Well done, you've done it." And like that moment, you know, the goal was, you know, I love doing that, and the euphoria on people's faces, my face, everything. But you know, that moment when your dad or your mom and people that have dedicated so much time into your life, your career, your opportunities, your dreams, to feel that same level of kind of emotion that you felt on the pitch is, you know, special moment.
So obviously with the Premier League, there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows. Unfortunately, the one at the start of the 2013-14 season with your knee injury on the opening day, how was that to deal mentally?
Really difficult. Obviously off the back of 2 seasons where I played, I don't know, 60 odd games in the Premier League, you know, all the highs of that brings, and you know, looking at progressing and, you know, trying to make yourself play in the Premier League as long as you possibly can. At the time I was close to going to Aston Villa. Paul Lambert had obviously moved to Aston Villa at that point, wanted me to sign, made numerous bids for me. Norwich offered me a new contract. I said no to it, not because I didn't love my time at Norwich, but because, you know, I'm from Telford, Aston Villa's up the road. I was going to be moving back home. And also I could see that Norwich were bringing in other players, and I wasn't going to, maybe not going to play as much. But I said to the manager at the time, like, look, this was the week leading up to the first game of the season. I said, let's talk about it on Monday after the first game of the season. You've got bigger things to worry about than whether I'm going to move or sign or whatever. Let's focus on the weekend. We'll deal with it on Monday. And I wasn't due to start on the Saturday against Everton. So in my mind, I kind of thought, oh, I'm not starting. You know, as footballers do, big babies, cried about it. Didn't do anything, obviously, in training, trained properly, prepared for the game, but kind of said to my missus and my agent, like, look, we've got to try and make this happen now. Turn up on the Saturday, and yeah, the player that was playing in my position, Robert Snodgrass, was ill. So I played and yeah, did my ACL, and that was my Premier League career over, really. Premier League, my move to Villa, yeah, done. Even to be fair, the one good thing I'd say about Norwich, the contract that they offered me, they honoured and let me, sign it, which is, great credit to obviously the owners at the time, Delia Smith, Chris Hughton, the manager at the time, unbelievable people with me. But yeah, just heartbreaking, to be honest. I don't hold any, what's the word? I don't have any bitterness towards it. I don't feel a type of way about it now I've retired. Like, look, would I have gone on to maybe play maybe got to the 100 club in Premier League appearances? Possibly. But how lucky am I got to one? How lucky am I that I got to one professional game, let alone in the Premier League, just one professional game. So I'm never going to sit here and say, if only, if I hadn't done this happen. It's part of football. It's part of life. People have really good times in their life and people have really, really bad times. In the grand scheme of things, me getting a knee injury when I'm a Premier League footballer, it's not that big. Big to me at the time, but in life terms, pales into insignificance, you know what I mean, with what people have to go through. Obviously, later in life, I lost my dad. I've lost other people that I love. That's pain, do you know what I mean?
Mm.
At the time, worst thing that happened to me, looking back, I just got a leg injury. I couldn't play football for a little bit. Give me time to reflect and really appreciate what I was doing. And, thankfully I came back from it and, still played and I don't know, I think I must have played another 300 games after that moment. So yeah, sometimes you need things to happen to you to refocus your mind and really appreciate what it is that you get to do.
Sadly, that injury did mean you missed Berry coming to Carrow Road just a couple of months later for what is now known as the Jesse Reindorf Masterclass with his cameo. Do you remember much about that game, the 6-3?
I'll be honest, when I wasn't playing and I was injured, not that I didn't care about how the team got on, but I really struggled to watch football. Obviously, I'd go to the game like when I needed to, and the manager was nice enough to take me to some away games to keep me a part of it. But I really didn't. I felt a little bit of sadness watching football, just because it was something that I loved doing that got taken away from me through no fault of my own. So I kind of tried to stay away from it until I was moving again, going around crutches and, people are just nice, aren't they? People want to wish you well and, oh, how you getting on? And, oh, I'm so sorry about that. But I didn't want that sympathy, if you know what I mean. So I tried to keep myself away from it a bit and just think, right, you can't play football, get yourself back right, get back on the pitch, don't feel sorry for yourself. But when you're around sadness and people feeling bad for you, because people don't know what to say, people just want the best for you. But in them situations, what are you supposed to say? So I just, to be honest, I can't remember much about that whole season other than it was a really bad one and we ended up getting relegated at the end of it, which was obviously devastating for everyone involved.
So Henson mentioned a bloke called Jesse Reindorf then, and you won't know him. He was about 6'5", never did anything, and
Apart from this one moment.
yeah, and the ball dropped to him, and he was about 40 yards out, and just put his foot through it, and it absolutely flew in, and that were it, and that was it, wasn't it? Did nothing else again after that.
Hey,
Yeah.
at least he give you one moment.
Yeah, and he'll be remembered forever for it. Yeah.
Well, there was a T-shirt made, and I bought it, and then released him 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
I think his last appearance was Rochdale away. He did nothing, and then he was never seen again.
Was it
That
Nicky?
can happen to a player. If
Yeah.
you play against Rochdale and you don't do anything, you're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Was it Nicky Adams who were having a go at him when he hit it? There was
It would
someone-
have been, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember it, but it would have been Nicky Adams
Yeah.
moaning or
He-
Stephen Dawson. One of
he
the
had-
two of them.
He had a shot and someone just threw their arms up in the air, and then obviously it flew in and hands on the head, and then that were it. Yeah. Quality day.
Obviously, a few years later, you are back up north though with Blackburn. Was it nice to get back to the northwest?
Yeah. Look, it was amazing football club. You know, they've won the Premier League, the history of the club. You know, everything about it was perfect for me. Paul Lambert again was back there, so you know, to get to link up with someone that you know had such a big impact on my career was great. And yeah, look, I really, really, really enjoyed my time at Blackburn. Had an incredible connection with the fan base. Just spent a long time there as well. Was made captain of the club by Tony Mowbray, which was something that you know you guys watch me at Bury, and would you have ever said I would have been a captain? Definitely not.
Yes.
No, don't talk daft. I would never have said it, to be honest. But then, yeah, just the whole time I was there, I just loved it. I
And
just loved it.
we spoke away from camera, but you don't remember it. The Bury versus Blackburn in 2018, you almost had like a Galacticos team for Blackburn in League One at that point. It must
Yeah,
have
we
felt
did.
it must have felt brilliant to play in that year.
Yeah, it was. We had a cheat code. I'll be honest. The owners, we got relegated. Obviously, the owner said no one's leaving. Anyone the manager wants to keep here, stay in. We're going to add to the squad, but if you were here last year and the manager wants you, you're not going under any circumstances. We don't need the money. We're going to right the wrongs of last year. We're getting promoted. And so it turned out. We had an incredible team for the level, and ended up doing what we needed to do, to be honest. But yeah, it was incredible to play in because you know when you're training and you go into games, the people you've got around you. I was very fortunate to play in a team full of such a good players in a League One team. You know, in the Championship we would have done well. So yeah, it was a fantastic season that year, and one that I think really reconnected the fans of Blackburn back to their football team, because there's obviously been a lot of years of discontent, and I think that year it was when you have success, it kind of all that other stuff kind of goes away and disappears a little bit.
Obviously, you've played for a lot of clubs over the years. I played at all over the country, highs of the Premier League, lows of League Two. Did you ever have a song as good as "He plays on the left, he plays on the right, that boy Bennett makes Ronaldo look shite"?
Best one ever. Best one ever. I mean, I wish that was true. I do wish that was true, because I mean, he's still playing football now, and he's 40 years old. And someone said he's a billionaire now, apparently. My kids tell me they watch YouTube and all this nonsense. But yeah, great song. I wish it was true. But you know what? For those moments you were singing it, it felt true to me.
It felt too true as well, because like being so young, like you just see like you sprinting up and down the pitch and making defenders look awful, and yeah, you see Ronaldo and it's like, oh yeah, much for Bennett.
Hey, listen, I really appreciate the compliments. Now, look, it's great times. Like I said, everything about my time at Bury, I thought was made me appreciate what being a real professional footballer was about. Met some incredible people along the way as well. Obviously, I mentioned earlier Brian Barry Murphy. I mean, great job he's doing at Cardiff, but you know what a person. Nicky Adams, one of the funniest geezers to this date that I've ever met. Bury legend. Paul Scott, fantastic. Obviously, I played right wing. He always played behind me at right back. Great character, great person to have, and just really good people that helped me on my journey to get to where I got to. And without those players and personalities around, I would never have got those opportunities.
We've obviously had a lot of loan moves over the years, and like a lot of them are forgotten about. Does it feel weird to you that you're still remembered so fondly so many years on, like 17 years on from when you first joined, and people still talk about the way you played in them sort of 18 months? And like we've had so many players over the years, but a 19-year-old kid turned into 20-year-old kid, and he's still remembered so fondly and still spoken about highly.
I think it helps when you're in a team that did well. I know we didn't end up getting promoted, and we got to that playoff semi-final, which was agonising for everyone. But I think those seasons people tend to remember a lot more than the mediocre mid-table, or the ones where you just stay up. You kind of them seasons just roll, and you can't wait to get to the next one. Whereas a semi-successful one where there's a lot of happiness and a lot of wins going alongside that, and exciting football as well. I think people tend to remember them ones. And obviously 18 months on loan is a long time. It's almost like I was signed at Bury. That's how it felt to me anyway. I hope it came across that way, that I played like I was signed to Bury, because when you're around a group of people, a fan base that travel home and away to support you and watch you, it does almost feel like that's your club. You know, Wolves, I'm forever grateful for the opportunities they gave me, but I wasn't a Wolves player in them moments. I was a Bury player, and everything I had, I needed to give to Bury, and Bury gave me so much back. So yeah, look, it's an honour that people still remember my time there, and you know they'd have to be as old as we are to remember. But you know, it's fantastic that I can come on here and have a chat with you, and you were one of the people that were in those stands watching. And you know, it wasn't so long ago that Bury was not even in existence, which hurts me to say, and I can't believe that is even a thing. And you know, what a resurrection to be where the club is now, and hopefully continue to rise and get back to where the football club should be, which is in league football.
So we've gone from Ronaldo, Premier League, Championship. So let's Shifnal Town. Very similar. So how was it playing with your brother? What did he kind of rope you into it?
Yeah, he did a bit. To be fair, like I'd never played with him professionally, to be honest. Like, I say professionally, but you know what I mean? Like first team level, I'd have played in reserves, under 18s, all the age groups in between. And then, you know, I retired from professional football on my 600th game at Shrewsbury. And he just said, do you want to, you know, we're in the FA Cup, playing against Hensford. You know, we've got another game to get to the first round proper. Like everyone at the club would love you to come and play. Like, do you fancy it? And I thought, do you know what? I've only been retired 2 months or something, 3 months. Like, why not? Be great to have a game with my brother. So I went and met the chairman of the club, Mick Tranter, great guy. And he was just like, oh, I'd love you to come and play. Your dad played for us up years and years ago. I've got your brother. How amazing to have you. And he just sold me the whole, you know, family thing. And I was like, yeah, like, look, I'll come and play. So yeah, I went and played, you know, a few games for him. Like, listen, it was incredible to play with my brother, incredible to play with a club, you know, from my local area. It's not there's no frills about it. There's a stand with a bit of seating, but it's not a Gigg Lane. It's very different, very family orientated. It's very like, I don't know, it's like going to watch a Sunday League game, but it's better than Sunday League football. But you still get that same, like you'll see the owner just walking around. It's not like what you get now, Premier League, they're all up in the boxes, and it's not like that. It's very normal. It's how football was meant to be, really. Yeah, so I really enjoyed it. But then, you know, I was playing a bit and getting a few harsh tackles, let's just say. And I just thought to myself, like, I can't do this anymore. And like, I knew my body was coming. Like, I never wanted to be that player that just keeps playing, and people go, oh, he don't run anymore. He can't do this anymore. I wanted to go out on my shield, which I feel like I did at Shrewsbury. It was my time to be done with professional football. And then, you know, going to play step 4, I think it was at the time, step 5 maybe, step 5 I think it was, in the FA Cup. I'm a bit like, I've lived my dream. Now, me coming to play here is great for me and my brother and my family, for us to play together. But what about the person that's not playing? Because I've decided to come and play 4 or 5 games. That guy's was going to play the other 40 games of the season. But because I've rocked up without training, I'm just playing because I've played at a higher level. I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, this is not about me anymore. Like, I've had my time. I've been very fortunate. Like, that kid that's not playing now, he might grow and be the next Championship player, League 2, League 1, like Premier League, whatever it might be, whatever he's aspiring to. But all the while I'm here messing around because it feels nice for me and my brother to play football together. I'm distracting from someone else when I know my playing days are done. I had my time. I loved it. Incredible. Done things that I never ever thought possible. Beyond my wildest dreams. But it's time to sometime you got to say, look, mate, you've had you've had a good run. Like, don't. And I didn't want to ever go out injured. That would have been my worst thing. So yeah, I decided to knock it on the head. Now I'm a bit gutted because obviously Bury and Shifton are playing against each other would have been fantastic. But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, one Bennett that is still playing is obviously brother Kyle. He's now skipper as well, doing
Yeah.
very well. Apart from when he came to Gigg, they lost 3-0.
Yeah, I know. They got back. Well, he said to me, oh, we got beat 3-0, but we was actually all right in the game. It weren't a 3-0 game. I was like, you got beat 3-0, mate.
And we do have him this weekend as well. We're off to Shifnal Town this weekend. So yeah, looking forward to seeing Kyle again.
I might try and drop down to that actually, because my little lad's at Wolves. He's in the academy at Wolves now, following in the footsteps, hopefully. So it's not too far away. So I might try and drop down and have a little. It'd be nice to just see some Bury fans, to be honest.
Yeah. We've got 500 tickets, but I don't think we'll sell out going off away form this year. It hasn't been wins as we expected, but no, we still should take a crowd. And I believe the White Hart is a pub local to there, and they're telling Bury fans to go down. They've got it all posted all over Facebook. So yeah, it should be a nice trip, and yeah, good to see Kyle again.
Yeah, there you go. As long as you've got a nice booze, what can be wrong?
Exactly. Cool. So we're going to finish on some quick-fire questions. So first thing that comes into your head, Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi.
Favorite ground you've played at?
Old Trafford.
Worst away ground?
Accrington Stanley, the old one.
Best match you've played in?
Oh, Tottenham Norwich, White Hart Lane, 2-1 Norwich win.
If you could have one dish for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, steak and chips.
Nando's spice level?
Hot.
What would be your perfect 5 items on a full English breakfast?
Sausage, bacon, egg, beans, toast.
Toast is free, so you get an extra item.
Oh, okay. Sausage, bacon, beans, egg. Or hash brown.
Well, have you noticed that no former Bury players ever say Bury black pudding?
It's a
Black
travesty.
pudding.
It's a travesty.
Nah, listen, I can understand why you like it, but hash browns above a black pudding all day long.
Not having it. Not having it. This is my favourite question because I've got tons to go in here. Is there anything you'd like to get rid of from football, Room 101 style?
VAR. Undisclosed football fees.
Yeah.
What else would I like to get rid of?
Will's favourite answer is celebrating against your former club. Like, he thinks you should celebrate.
I agree with that. I feel like you should celebrate for your new team. And if you want to apologise afterwards as a little show of respect to your old team, fair enough. But I think you should celebrate. Anytime you get to score a goal, you should celebrate. I've never scored against one of my old teams, so easy for me to say.
And then final question, do you have any, or did you have any superstitious pre-match routines?
I always put my left everything on first. So sock, shin pad, boot. Right one always went on last. I don't know why. Stupid. Didn't mean anything. Oh, yeah, that was it. Yeah. From a kid, I've done that as well.
So thank you to Elliott for joining us. Hopefully you enjoyed that chat. But back to Bury FC matters. And as we mentioned at the top of the episode, we do have Shifnal Town. And as we spoke about with Elliott then, on Saturday, hopefully he's able to join us down at their ground. What are your thoughts ahead of that one, Will?
Tough game. I think it's going to be a very, very tough game. And I feel a little bit sorry for Tim Lees having it as his first game. It'd be interesting to see what Tim does if we do much different. But I think it's going to be a bit of an edgy affair. I would love us to roll them over and absolutely batter them. Ideal world, 3-0. Let's do them 3-0 again. Forget it. But I think it's going to be quite close, and I'd take a draw maybe, but obviously I'd always love to see a win. So I think a goal either way. My head's probably saying draw, but my heart says let's batter them 3-0 and get this ball rolling.
Yeah, obviously we did play them earlier in the year and beat them 3-0, as we mentioned. I think it was like September time, I want to say. But they have managed to hold their position at top of the league, so they're currently third. So they're 1 point ahead of us. So they've played 20, we played 20, and they've just drawn the game and we've lost. And we've got the exact same goal difference. So very, very similar results so far this year. And obviously last weekend they drew with Loyal Breck, so they can compete. And it's a bit of a weird one because when we saw them in September, I think it was, like they didn't seem like a team that was able to compete at the top of the league, but they've maintained them results in the following 2.5 months.
You know, I actually disagree a little bit about that. I thought when I watched them, they're potentially one of the best teams we've played this year. Thought they played some decent stuff up until the goal, and then they kind of went a bit, but they were kind of the team that I thought, yeah, they were all right, these. So that's why I think it's going to be a really tough game. And obviously our away form, is a little bit dreadful. So it's always a tough ask, isn't it? But yeah, and the other thing is, you know, like sometimes with teams, you have that boost, don't you, with the manager going. But like, it does make me wonder: are we going to see that boost? Is it going to happen? Because technically, it's the same backroom staff and everything, isn't it? So yeah. So it's going to be interesting how the players react because I imagine they were probably a little bit surprised with, unless it was in the pipeline for a while, but I imagine they were a little bit surprised with McNabb's decision too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just hope for a reaction of some kind. I'm not really bothered about scoreline. Performance is important.
Yeah, so like looking at their results, they've only lost one game since they lost to us, and it was a 1-0 defeat at Nantwich on the 15th of November. Obviously, we played Nantwich, beat them 4-1, and it was a last-minute goal from Byron Moore, obviously former Bury player. So yeah, it'll be a tough game, but as we mentioned, the White Hart in Shifnal has been posting about going to their pub beforehand. Apparently it's quite close to the ground, so if you head into Shifnal, you're probably listening to it on the way. It might be a bit late before you made a decision, but yeah, do check it out. I'm going to try and get there before the game. I think they're serving food as well, so could be a nice little stop before we got the game. Yeah, in terms of home attendances, they don't get many. Recent ones have been 141, 248, 167, so probably a similar size crowd maybe to Darlaston away. So a bit more of a different one than we used to. But yeah, just got to back the team, back the management staff, and see where we go from here, because a few more wins in a row now, and who knows where we could be at the start of 2026. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, and then an interesting few days after that. Because then we'll have the potential new manager for Mossley on the 13th, then we've got Newcastle Town, then we've got Clitheroe, and then it's Stalybridge. So the games will come thick and fast over the next few weeks, some good few training sessions. Also, the Christmas, New Year time is a bit odd, because I think we used to have another game in between Christmas and New Year last year, whereas this year we play on the 26th, the 1st, and then we don't play till the 10th. So a bit more of a break. So if the results don't go our way, then hopefully the manager has some time to put some work in and get it right over the next few weeks after that. But we'll back him or her all the way. And yeah,
I didn't mean to laugh about that, but that was very woke. That
well, you never know.
I think I do know, but yeah, go on. Yeah, we'll take it. Him or her, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that is all for this week's episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's probably the longest episode yet. We spoke a lot of shit. You're probably going to disagree with most stuff that we say, but thank you for listening either way. And yeah, we'll see you at Shifnal Town, and if not, See you at Mossley.
Yeah,
At
I'm
home.
looking forward to Qwerty's comments arguing with us on YouTube. Can't wait.
Up the
Love you.
Shakers.
Yeah, I love you, Qwerty. Up the Shakers.